selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling our. And I never been down with no OPP. I talking about selling our people's property. Don't know who doing it, so don't round me out. Don't send no police round me and tell me shush my mouth. Where's our conviction? But where's our pride? We selling everything, selling our backside. Just go online, it'll make you sick. You can buy any island, just point and click. See, they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling our. Hey, hey. Ride him. My mother always said, when you find a donkey, ride it. Who's donkey? What? Come on. We got a whole nation in 73. Now we getting back the whole country. What kind of fools we must be, selling out for a bag of rice and a cup of tea. You know what does bug me? Help me understand. I can't find piece of property for under 80 grand. But I can fix this, I know what to do. I can squat just like them other people try make me do. See, they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling our. They're selling our country. They're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling our. I get everybody sell some every day. They're selling one island, Gateway will keep. What can be left for you and me? Is this the example? What's our kids to do? You want them have a sense of pride, or go selling too? Cause they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling our. They're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling our whole country. Ooh, they're selling our. They're selling our country, yes man. They're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling our. They're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling our.
Whoa, girls, we out doing
So, that's the other day. Here, I think it was on Thursday. Thursday this week. Walking on the sidewalk right here. Walking on the sidewalk before 9 o'clock in the morning, minding my own business. I was taken to the station. I was told I am not supposed to be walking on the northern side of the sidewalk. The police officer actually grabbed me in my side and dragged me in the police station and told me it's against the law. What do you say, Bill? That's private property. Taxi drivers are to walk on the
sidewalk on the north side of Wood Rogers Road is private property.
Taxi drivers, straight down. Taxi drivers are to walk
No
on
man,
the opposite
they
side.
out of their mind. That
On
can
the
never be
opposite
private
side
property.
of the street. And if you walk down there, the minute you're walking down there or stop there, they run out that station like wild bulls and drag you into the station.
Wow.
Say that's it's private property. The government don't own it, and far as Edfield and those concerned, we ain't supposed to be walking on that side of the street.
Wow.
We walk on the opposite side.
We back to the 50s.
What's your opinion? Morning, my name is Jay Archer. I'm a licensed taxi and tour guide. I've been working in the industry now 7 years. I've been down here Bay Street working, but these officers and the port are making it hard for Bahamians to feed their family. I was taken into the station 3 times yesterday. The officer told me he waited on me to talk to the guests and deliberately take me to the station where I couldn't feed my family. Now I was in charge with anything. Now that public sidewalk over there, the guests will detour to go over there. I would then walk down the guests and explain to them what I'm selling, what I'm doing. These officers arrest me saying I'm trespassing and I'm breaking the law. I can't be here. They want us to go by a rule. What was in place when black people couldn't come downtown, we would have to stay in our vehicle or 15 feet away from our vehicle. When our union president already told them that is out the door. Taxi drivers are not staying in their vehicle. We supposed to license to go wherever gas is in this country. The port, the airports, the hotels, the restaurants, wherever gas is in this country, we are the ambassadors to license to deal with these guests. So why is it the government hired 2,000 new recruits for the port and the only agenda is the taxi drivers? I see cars riding through, unlicensed, unmarked, they don't see them. They see the licensed man who have a business, we have to pay business license, we have to pay for our public service license, we have to pay for our vehicles. So why am I being detoured and I'm contributing to NIB and to the Bahamians and to our country? Something has to be done and look like nobody will understand with the Bahamian people. The higher authorities in this country because they have more money than us poor black people. And we getting fed up with the oppression. Now I'm here again this morning And I know I'm going to be taken into the station again before it's 12 o'clock.
No,
because
man.
I'm out here feeding my family. So I need Mr. Bean because he looks like he's the only person willing to stand up for behemoths in every aspect of this country. And if you all being in some sense, I voted PLP. But I won't do it again. You know why? Because they playing blind. The behemoths needs, not our wants. Our needs. This is our country. So why we always get pushed to the back burner, and this is our country. Something has to be done, and Mr. Bean can get the job done for us.
Okay, good morning everyone. Once again, excuse me, Quincy Hudson here, public service driver in the downtown area. The issues that we have out in the downtown area are very severe, I would say the least. It seems as if the powers to be are operating under the agenda of the Coos Point. The oppression in this downtown area, the Prince George Wharf area, is so strong. Police officers actually are separating the two public walkways. The public walkway on the northern side of Prince George on the port side. They're saying that is trespassing if any taxi driver is caught over there. So if you're walking over there, the guests are walking past and you...
On the government sidewalk?
On the government sidewalk. And you meet the guests and morning guys, welcome with a nice welcome, and ask them if they need ground transportation. The police intervene immediately, as I'm sure you would have seen in some of my Facebook videos. They intervene immediately and then ask you to go over to the other public walkway. So it's as if slavery is back again, because it's like you're not going that walk, that's your sidewalk there. Walk is for the port, which should not be so. So I'm sure Ministry needs to come and actually deal with that. The police officers took me in station and told me that if I'm caught on that public sidewalk, on the northern side, that I will be arrested for trespassing. They're also always harassing us, saying that they will arrest us, take us to the station for soliciting. This public license allows me to interact with the guests and ask them if they need ground transportation. The police once again are hindering us from that. So within all of this harassment, they actually about 2 months ago actually physically harmed me, as you can see. So I was physically harmed, but that's another case. But I'm saying to you, we need some help out here.
You was physically harmed by who?
By the police officers, okay? So what I'm saying to you, we need some help out here. We need some clarity in regards to the law. And it's obvious that all of these officers that we seem to have a problem with, their numbers begin with 4, 5, 4, 6, the new recruits. So obviously they haven't been trained because what they're doing is unlawful. So my name is Quincy Hudson. We need some help with you. The fight continues.
All right.
Morning. Gregory Tudio, taxi cab driver. We need some help down here. There ain't much happening for Bahamians. It seems as if though we are second-class citizens in our own country. The Bahamas can't be for Bahamians. When they telling us you cannot stand here and solicit, then my job as a taxi driver is soliciting. I thought that comes under being a tour cab driver. So if you were to walk across here, they say it's a arrestable offense. They normally take you to the station in cuffs, sometimes not, but they take you to the station to run your name, do this and do that. That's the tactics they use. All these cars over here, these was allocated for cab drivers. When the port came here and repaved the road, they took away the cab spots, telling us now you gotta either go in the lot or Bay Street. Not the cab spots, just for us to even park. So now we going back to like a Jim Crow law from back in the 1950s, where they telling you now you have to be within 15 feet of your taxi car to solicit a job, and it's not right. If we were to stand over here on the sidewalk, they telling you you no longer could stand on the sidewalk because you're hindering somebody's business. It's crazy. We need some help, Lincoln.
All right.
That's my 5 cents.
We're in government. We are the government of the day, and we will lead as we see fit. It is what it is.
In a jokey town, a 3-ring circus, what a bunch of clowns. They're joking and they jiving.
What's up, bro? Yeah, man. All right, morning, bro. How you doing? All right. Hey, morning, guys. This video. I just have taxi drivers and others are telling me that this over here, this area here on the northern side, the sidewalk, that y'all are informing them that that's private property. I just want to confirm that. Anyone want to answer? This area right here on the sidewalk, they're saying that y'all are telling them that's private property. And some of them have been taken to the station and then let go because they were standing over here. There's no trespassing sign there. And the fence is on the other side of the sidewalk. So if they're standing there, how could that be private property? That is also gazetted in the Gazette as a taxi area. So y'all ain't answering? Y'all are officers, all of y'all represent the commissioner. Yeah. I was officer on Bay Street too. I ain't saying it's a harassment, I just want to know exactly what's going on out here. Say again? Walk into the station and speak to the corporal on the desk? Alright, thank you. I appreciate
this lady here over here. Mr. Ben,
Hey.
Listen to him, man.
4672, he just told us that.
Morning,
This
officers.
officer accompanied him.
Y'all are saying that Bahamians can't stand on the sidewalk? Say again? So what's
You did.
but they are licensed taxi drivers to solicit as they please. All of them. You have your badge on, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, everyone licensed. Okay, you have on a badge.
And up to date.
And so they're not loitering because they're here for a lawful purpose. The sidewalk is a public place. Loitering is when you're there idle with no reason for being there. So why y'all saying the taxi drivers can't stand or walk on the sidewalk? They're not causing obstruction to traffic. I see cars able to pass if they want to.
Once again, now he doesn't want to repeat. He don't want to say what he said because the camera rolling.
Well, I'll give you all this advice. If you're all arrested, your police force, you all will be very rich and you all be thankful to them. And what we do now is we sue them in their personal capacity also, not just suing the police force.
Yes, sir.
The sidewalk you cannot be removed from the sidewalk by law. And so we've already went through that over and over. All right? So, but on the other hand too, you all just make sure that you all behaving the way you all supposed to. And you all ain't blocking up the sidewalk and ain't blocking up the road.
Yes, sir.
But you all are licensed by the government.
Yes, sir.
And so you all have a right to be here and to solicit. All right? So, anyway, we have their information. I see the other ones cross the road. Let me zoom in on them. We have them on camera.
And they're only waiting for you to leave and stop.
Excuse me. Morning. How y'all doing? This video. The taxi driver is telling me that they're being told that this is private property on this side of the sidewalk. That's what they informed y'all? That the northern side of the street is, but that's the sidewalk and the fence is on the other side of it. The Gazette says that this is tax for taxis. So that's your instructions. Thank you, bro. That's all I need. Your dog is
Why are you leaving?
Sarge,
how you doing? I can talk to you this video.
No, and if you're doing a protest, you need some sort
There's no protest happening here.
So why are you recording at this moment?
I am actually just recording video for a broadcast later today. If you don't want to be recorded, you could just say that and I'll talk to you off video.
Record me, but you can talk me off video.
There is no transparency with the union and their executive team. They are not honest. Mr. Ferguson have never came to the drivers or the body of men to discuss the way forward with the port. We have about 10% of union members. 90% are independent drivers of the port. Therefore, a good president would meet with his members, get their opinion on the matter relating to the port. So for the president to sign a contract, an agreement on behalf of the drivers, and we do not know what the agreement is all about, this is not right, nor legal. The union is the bargaining agent on behalf of the drivers, providing we know everything that the union is discussing. Also, their voting process on the issue that's concerning our workplace is supposed to be voted on with the grouping of drivers, even if they are a part of the union or if they are not a part of the union. Now, never in history of a taxi driver, the union managed our business. We manage our own affairs and the Road Traffic Department oversee us to make some rules and regulations that is carried out. The Road Traffic Department is responsible for penalizing. Let me say that again. The Road Traffic Department is responsible for penalizing the drivers if they do not obey the law. And if a driver commit a crime, then the police is called in to deal with the matter. For the past 22 plus years, we've always had a place. The committee always was have a place with the taxi drivers. Okay? We also have elections for the committee every year. So every driver who wants to take a part in this process is given a chance to serve. The committee was sanctioned by the FNM and the PLP. Let me say that again. The committee was sanctioned by the FNM and the PLP to avoid the taxi drivers from demonstrating on Bay Street. But let me make it clear. For 20 plus years, let me make it clear, this was written by our committee leader, okay? And I agree with what was written, okay? Thank you guys. Enjoy your day.
Yeah, you can talk. Good morning to everybody. A part of the issue that they have where they speak about the dispatchers and the issues that they have with the port is a lot of times when it comes, because the biggest issue that we have there is the dispatchers. Regardless of what the port put in place, the dispatchers are always going to be basically that roadblock that you face. Because they do a lot of work that they really don't have to do. If you go and you speak to someone and you say, hey, if you folks need a tour or if you want to tour, you want to trans, you don't, as a dispatcher, you're not supposed, it's not your place to sit there and negotiate that with that party. Bring them to the guests. Bring the guests to the booth, let them speak to their driver, because a lot of times they say, oh, well, this is the price for the tour, but then you don't know what that taxi driver and the group will discuss based on what price they give their group. So the dispatchers kind of try to stranglehold the taxi drivers in a particular small little box and make it more difficult for the taxi drivers to be able to negotiate and get certain things done with their passengers. All right?
No. Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so the sound is coming through now. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate your patience with us as we work through these technical issues. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday, the 15th of August, 2023, and we want to thank you for tuning in with us. We had an interesting day today. We got to go out there and listen to and fight for the taxi drivers. We were not there to fight for or take side with anyone, but to stand up for what was right. And there's some things that the police are experiencing because we have no proper city government, and there's certain things that are not in place that leaves them at a disadvantage. There are business persons who are complaining because of the situation. And so some things got to get right. All right. Some things really got to get right in this country, because right now it's making no sense. And it's like we are rudderless and there's no leadership. All right. So I just want to start this by saying that my father was a taxi driver. He was also a boat captain. He was crippled. He actually couldn't walk. And he was a boat captain. When he couldn't do that anymore, he drove taxi 246 for a meter cab. And he could not get out of the taxi to open the door for the tourists. And so me as a young boy, 9, 10, 11 years old, whatever I was, I would do that. I would get out of the car. And so I would drive with him for hours and hours. So you can say that I was a taxi driver. And so I know everything that they went through. But there was a difference between what they went through then and what they're going through now. Taxi drivers in the 80s, the years I'm talking about, were treated with respect. It was a respectable and respected industry. The way they're being treated now by hotels and by the port, they treat them like animals. It's amazing that Bahamians could be treated this way. It's amazing and shocking that Bahamians could be treated this way. And as I heard them talk, and I haven't even played not even a quarter of the videos that I took today, as I heard them talk, I heard humans just wanting to eat, just wanting to be able to pay their bills. And I see a system that isn't working for anyone. It isn't working for the taxi drivers. It isn't working for the police, for the port, for the businesses that are out there. Nothing works. I heard them saying that, there's no proper bathroom for them to use. There's an unfair call-up system. They feel like Ed Fields treats them like crap. Everywhere where Bahamians are, it's like Ed Fields is the ultimate house Negro. And wherever he is, Bahamians are going to be treated like crap. We saw it at Atlantis on the beaches. And now we're seeing it at the port. It's like they just grabbed Samuel L. Jackson from Django. And that's who he is. They just put him wherever they want to oppress Bahamians. And we see these people being oppressed by the port. So I wanted to do some investigations about what was going on. And I know I said I was going to do certain things and play certain things today, but the taxi drivers called me and I had to act. I had to go there and deal with this. And so we're going to talk about this and some other stuff today. But when I heard the stories of taxi drivers, you heard one of them, taxi driver being told that the sidewalk was private property. I mean, that was so shocking. And you heard the police officer saying that that's what he was told by his superiors. The police officer said that he was told by his superiors that the sidewalk on the side of the government road, the government sidewalk. Now, when we say the government sidewalk, do you know what that means? The government doesn't own that. We own that. The government manages it for us, just so you know. So when I say the government sidewalk, I mean the Bahamian people sidewalk. And so the police said that he was told by his superiors at the station that the people's sidewalk is private property. This is the Commonwealth of Narnia. This is an imaginary place that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add up. The government sidewalk is a private place. They injured that man. Another man, they arrested him. And both of them, they arrested them, held them for a couple hours and let them out. Because it would be like punishment. You can't make money for those couple hours while you're there. So it's punishment for them. One guy said he was arrested 3 times in one day. 3 times in one day for something that was not against the law. So I decided to speak to the supervisors out there. I spoke to 2 sergeants. Both of them were extremely professional. Sergeant Sanders and Sergeant Stubbs. They were very professional with me. They answered the questions. They admitted where wrong might have been done. And I appreciate that because we were not there to favor the taxi drivers over the police. We were just there to find out what's going on so our country could continue to flow, man. And so initially, well, I'll show you one example of what's going on. And I did speak to the union leader when I got back to the office. I spoke to the union leader. He basically is blaming the taxi drivers, saying that, sometimes they're out of order and you need order out there, and et cetera, et cetera. But I'll get to that in a minute. One taxi driver found me. He came to the office. He came to the office because he was suspended today. A taxi driver. He was suspended today. And here's his suspension letter from the port now, not from road traffic. The port is now suspending taxi drivers. Listen, man, this is real. You can't make this stuff up. And so if you can see this, it says August 13th. All right, so this is when the suspension happened, but it was delivered to him today. Ms. Elliot Demerit taxi number 1144. Dear Mr. Demerit, it was reported to Nassau Cruise Port that on August 11th, 2023, at approximately 1 p.m., while working out the taxi dispatch booth at the Nassau Cruise Port, you refused to take a fare of 12 persons to Atlantis. All right? It says, as refusing to take a fare is against both the Road Traffic Act and the policy of the Nassau Cruise Port, you are hereby suspended from the cruise port call-up system for a period of 5 days. You get a 5-day suspension. The period of suspension will run from when this letter is presented. Yours truly, Colin Clare, Director of Security. Oh, security guard suspending people. This ain't even management of the port. This is the security suspend him. The security at the port suspended the taxi driver because the taxi driver refused to take, you see there? Refused to take a fare of 12 persons to Atlantis from the port. And it says, as refusing a fare is against both the Road Traffic Act and the policy of the Nassau Cruise Port, you hereby suspended. Now, it's a serious problem when you have officials who don't know the law. And that's why I had to educate the police about what loitering is. I was a police officer on Bay Street. I had to educate them. And apparently the port security, who somehow is able to suspend taxi drivers, doesn't know the law. Because this is absolute garbage. Because the law is clear on this. I'm going to actually pull up the law because the taxi drivers are watching this and the police are watching this. And so, I like to speak from the law. And the act they're quoting is actually Section 75. Section 75, I'm calling this from my head. Let me go and pull it up. I thought it had it pulled up and ready for y'all. The act they're quoting is Section 75. Let me see if I can grab that quick for y'all. Where is it? Okay. Thought I had it up there. Okay. We'll just pull it up some other way. Okay. Protection. Okay, I know where it is. Here we go. Yeah. Okay, Road Traffic Act. Police. So we're quoting from Section 75 of the Act. Section 75 of the Act. Let's see if we can get that pulled up for you. Section 75 of the Act. So sorry for that little stall right there. Let's get this letter off of here so you can see it. Come on, letter. Let's go. Good. We're going to show you Section 75 of the Act. Just give me a sec. Everything seems to be going very slowly, so sorry about that. Okay. All right. Oops, we pulled up the wrong document. This is the Royal Bahamas Police Force Reserves Audit. Yeah, we got that. And so that's for another live at another time. I think some people are going to start shaking in their boots to know that Lincoln has the audit of the reserves. Yeah, the reserves who can't get paid on time. Yeah, we got it. Well, anyway, here's the Road Traffic Act, and we're going to Section 75. Come on. Wow, everything's moving so slowly. It's even dragging slow. All right, there we go. Just waiting for Section 75 to come up. Okay, there we are. All right, so Section 75. I'm just saying this from my head. I think it's 75, based on my memory. Duties of taxi and cab drivers. But okay, no driver of a licensed taxi cab standing or applying for hire shall, without reasonable cause, you see that? Without reasonable cause, that means without having a reason. All right? Refused to drive his cab to any place in New Providence, if in New Providence, or in any other place in North Island, to which he shall be required by a hire to drive. Okay, so if someone wants to hire you, you shouldn't refuse to take them where they need to go unless you have a reason. Okay, well, this guy was suspended, but did anyone ask him if he has a reason? Well, guess what? I know the reason why he didn't hire them. And the reason is very simple and obvious. When you live in a real country that makes sense. Let me show you his vehicle. And I think this makes it all make sense. You saw the letter said he refused to take 12 passengers, right? Well, and he was suspended because of that. Well, here's his vehicle. That's 1143. Same as the letter. All right, they said that you were suspended for not carrying 12 passengers.
12
How many
passengers,
passengers can this vehicle hold?
This vehicle hold up to 9 passengers.
All right, well, let's count. Front seat is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, it's definitely a 9-seater. And so, as you can see, the bus in question is a 9-seater bus. They asked him to carry 12 passengers who could not fit in his bus. That's 1143.
And because he wouldn't take 12 passengers in his 9-seater bus,
they said that you were suspended for not carrying 12 passengers.
12
How many
passengers.
passengers
he
can this vehicle
was
hold?
suspended
This vehicle hold up to 9 passengers.
by the head of
All right, well, let's
security
count.
of the port.
Front seat is 1,
This man's suspension should end
2,
immediately.
3,
The union
4,
should have been out there.
6, 7, 8.
This is ridiculous.
9. Yep, it's definitely a 9.
This is so beyond stupid that it's unimaginable. Is this how they're going to run the port? What manner of nonsense is this? See the letter here? It says he refused to carry 12 people in his 9-seater bus, and he was suspended. Are we living in a real country? Are we living in a real country? That's what Bahamians are going through at this day and time. In our Bahamas. And so the other guy, talked about the sidewalk and being harassed off of the sidewalk, especially this part of the sidewalk. There, you see all these cars are parked right there? That's the northern side where the coconut trees are. That's the northern side of Wood Rogers Walk. There's a sidewalk there, as you can see, a sidewalk. And a guy was standing on this sidewalk about where the second car is at the gray small car. And that's the guy who was arrested. That's the guy who spoke earlier. You saw the video from him earlier. He was approached by police, told that he's on private property and he'd be arrested for trespassing. Let me explain trespassing to the officers who might not know, and to the taxi drivers. Trespassing is an offense where there has to be a complainant. Okay? So if someone walks in your yard, the police can't just come and lock them up for trespassing. They don't know if they belong there. They don't know if they live in the house. They don't know anything about them. Even if that was private property, which is not, the police can't just lock someone up for trespassing. They have to have a complaint.
So the port would have to make an official complaint, prove that it's their property, and then you can be arrested. If you fail to leave, you must be warned. There's no trespassing sign there, nothing. But a man was taken, the handcuffs was put on his hand, and he was injured. He's wearing braces and all that now. Taken to the station. They were trying to find something to put on him. As he was sitting there, they was going to the report, trying to find something, bringing other people in. They couldn't find nothing on him. And he told him he had to go to the hospital because his arm was hurting. And they took him to the hospital. Had the doctor see him and everything, brought him back there, kept him there until that night. He was locked up that morning until it was 7 o'clock that night. And then came to him and said, you could go. After the ships left, and there was no way for him to make money that day. That is not acceptable. No Bahamian will be treated like that in the New Bahamas. That is unacceptable. Why? Why? The area in question is designated a taxi zone. Okay, and if you look carefully at the road, I'm trying to put the pictures up. You can see right in the corner of this picture right here, you can see where it says taxi. We didn't get a good picture of it. I just wanted to show you the area. Private cars are parked here, all private cars. The police are refusing to let taxis park here, and they're letting private vehicles park here. When this is designated by the Gazette as a taxi area, see, taxi is still in the road right there. This one is a little faded in this other picture, but you can see where it's demarcated taxi. Also, you can see it there more clearly, taxi. Okay. And so this is a taxi area, and they're not letting the taxi drivers park there in the taxi area, and they're harassing them for some reason. I don't get it. There's some signs up for the safety and enjoyment of all. Note, and I get this from the cruise port. No loitering, fishing, public intoxication, unaccompanied minors, swimming, littering, disorderly vagrants, running. No running. The hell they could tell a Bahamian not to run? No use of profanity, weapons, glass bottles, smoking or vaping. No vaping outside. Possession, supply, or use of dangerous drugs or illegal substances, and no drones. I have another sign up. Let's see what we got here. For the code of conduct. Pre-clearance security zone. Port facility. Okay, it's understandable. Nothing that's no trespassing on the outside. But it's a public area where they have stores and it's open to the public. But yet taxi drivers are being harassed. Let me say this to the authorities. Do your job within the law. And this is what I said to the police today. Do your job within the law. One of them explained to me that, you know, they can't just be there. How could they just be standing up on the sidewalk? I said, why can't you just stand up on the sidewalk? This is a shopping area. I should be able to come with my friend, and we might just want to stand up and look at the cruise ships or just look at the horse and carriage go and come. It's a recreational type area, the whole area. It is a shopping area. Just like a shopping mall. How could you tell someone they're loitering in the shopping mall? If they came to the shopping mall, that's what it's for. To go and hang out and be there. There's a downtown area. The loitering laws was intended for communities. So neighborhoods. Someone is found in your neighborhood They have no reason for being there. They have no excuse for being in that neighborhood. And you can arrest them for loitering. But someone in a public area, like a shopping area, there's no loitering involved. You have a right to come there and loiter in a recreational area. Next thing y'all gonna be locking up people on the beach. Oh, y'all did that. That was Goodman's Bay before CARICOM. And so I had to educate the police about the laws as it relates to loitering. I informed the taxi drivers to not block up the road. And when I asked the police what he means by blocking up the road, one of them said that the guys would see the tourists coming across the road, they'd walk and meet the tourists at the road and walk out of the road with the tourists. And so that to them is blocking up the road. That's not blocking up the road. You have a right to cross that road as much as you want to. As much as you want to. There's no law stopping you. And I told them, not because you have a right to do something means that you should just do it. You have to work with the police, you have to work with the business people because you want to do business also. And so don't block up their doors, etc. But I went out there early this morning, 7 o'clock this morning, to meet with the taxi drivers who have a lot of complaints. I haven't showed all their videos for the sake of time, but some of them were really distraught. Some of them said some things that really hurt me as I was listening to it. I'm tired of seeing Bahamians hurt in this country, and this is why I fight. One police officer told me that in the area where the police station is on Wood Rogers Wharf, nearer to the East Street side of it, that she just isn't going to let them stand there. I said, that's a recreational area. You can't move. She said, well, I'm going to do it. They can just sue me. Wow. No. There's something called the rule of law, and the rule of law governs the authorities, not the people. It means that the law rules, not the officials and the politicians. They can't do whatever they want. You cannot tell a man who is paying for a government license that he can't solicit. Now, they have this question about the license that I had to educate the police. And so because they're watching, I'm going to show them. Let's go back to the law. They have this question about the law. You're talking about how aggressive some of the people are that are soliciting. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Who are soliciting when the cruise ships are in? I'm going to get to that in a minute. And we addressed that out there with the police also, just so you know. But there was an old law back in the day, been repealed, where a taxi driver had to be within 15 foot of his vehicle. But the problem is now taxis get toll license. So you can have a taxi license or a toll license. So Section 36, a person shall drive or employ another person to drive omnibus or public service vehicle. So their license is public service vehicle. And if you look at the law carefully, you're going to see what type of license they have for driving, what type of vehicle. I think I went past it. Did I reach it yet? Public service driver's license. Here it is. In the case of a tow car, a tow driver's license. In the case of a taxi cab or livery car, a tow driver's license or a taxi cab driver's license. So taxi drivers, about 30 years now, they've had the option to have both. And so they're getting license for both. All right. And so because they have a license for tow, they can go out and solicit and do whatever they want. But that old law from the Jim Crow era that is gone. And so here's the law. Please, you asked me for it. Here it is. All right. So I just want to speed through that. You cannot harass Bahamians. Now, here's what needs to happen. If the government wants to stop this area from being a taxi area, simply change the law. You can do that in a day. You can let the minister make a decision to change certain laws. Just go and change the law, let the Ministry of Works or Road Traffic or whoever needs to do this, both of them working together, change how this is designated. Just change how it's designated. How hard is that? So now the police doesn't have a difficult job when the taxi drivers are telling them, but this is what the law says, and the police was like, this, we don't care, this are instructions. They're putting the police in a bad situation. And someone said to me about, you know, they're out there harassing, and the police said they're out there harassing the tourists, etc., stopping and talking to them. I want to say to the taxi drivers, the scooter rentals, and whoever is doing that, stop it. Just behave within the law and no one can touch you. Just behave within the law and no one can stop you. And if they violate your laws, you're rich. You have laws to protect you. All right? And so that's all you need. All right? The police complained about certain things, and some of the things I understand their concern. But no one is going to mess with you. All right? If you do things the proper way. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. We spent an hour talking about that. I just need to get it out of the way. They're not loitering if they're there for a purpose. Guys, please don't block the sidewalk. Don't block the roadways. And you're good. No one can harass you. All right? And whenever you have an interaction, take out your video, your phone, and start recording video. All right? Get evidence, because they're going to change their talks and lie and say they didn't tell you this or that. Take out your camera and do video. The police is also going to start taking out their camera and showing y'all misbehaving, so y'all need to not misbehave. Y'all need to not block up the road or do any things that they're accusing you of. Let's have some peace out there. So I was able to speak to the police. Well, Randy Roll, the Senator Randy Roll, who deals with tourism, who works in the Ministry of Tourism, came out there while we were talking, and he acknowledged that some things the police were saying was wrong, that is the sidewalk on the northern side of Wood Rogers Walk is not private property. In fact, that the public has access to that part of the port. You know, he stayed there and talked to us for a while, right? And so Randy Roll was there, and I had a good conversation with him while he was there, and I read him the right act, all right? Both sides have to act properly. I think I'm just going to leave that right there, all right? So please, I don't want to have another taxi driver being arrested falsely because of whatever reason. It doesn't make sense. So I'm not going to play the rest of the video. I'm going to save them. I had a chance to speak to the union leader, and basically all he is saying is putting blame on the taxi drivers. All right. I don't think that's a start. I think the union should come out and hear them, because, like I said, this guy was suspended for not taking 12 passengers in a 9-seater. I think the union leader should listen there. There is no deal, contract, the union leader says, between the port and the taxi. He says that, all right? I don't know if that's true, but he says it, all right? And so we gotta fix some things out there. I just want to also mention this. I can't do this without mentioning what happened. So for persons who act improperly out there, you don't say we treat all taxi drivers bad because some of them act improperly. You find the ones who are acting improperly, breaking the law, and you lock them up. It's the law's for. But you don't penalize everyone for them. As simple as that. Now, there's another alleged bad actor out there. I don't know the truth or non-truth of the story. I don't think just because someone says it means it's true. But this person gave the information and they said it. And we only heard their side. And so I'm just going to play this.
My name is Megan Surface, and we came to the port and got a taxi driver named Cousin Clarence. We paid $30 a person for 18 people to drive us around for the day. He said he would take us anywhere we wanted to go for the day. We went to the Queen's Staircase, and then he drove us to Junkanoo Beach, where he said he would be back at 3 o'clock to pick us up, and never came back to get us. He said we could leave our belongings in his vehicle, and my daughter left her bag with her necklace and her bracelet that we had just bought from the market by this Queen's Staircase, and her C card to get back on the ship, and then he never came back to get us. We had to pay another $70 in taxis to get back to the port. So that's what, $610 now we paid. My name is Megan Surface, and my phone number is 240-577-0742, and my address is 36765 Asher Road, Mechanicsville, Maryland 20659.
Okay, so a lady talked about a bad experience with a taxi driver. Well, we need, if that is true, find a taxi driver and deal with them. It's simple as that. That doesn't mean that that's every taxi driver. Someone said it's very uncomfortable for tourists. I know. I know it is. And that's why we have to have law and order. And that's why I'm saying to the taxi drivers, if you're doing that, stop it. If the police see persons unduly harassing tourists, etc., or doing something wrong, not just soliciting, doing something wrong, because you go some places in America and they'll be harassing you, right? They'll be trying to solicit sales to you. But if you see someone doing something wrong, just arrest them. All right, just arrest them. You know, if they are breaking the law, or you can just talk to them, give them a warning, but deal with it with decency and order. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that we should allow them to keep harassing the tourists, etc., etc. I worked on Bay Street, and let me tell you something. Bay Street was a terror when I worked on Bay Street. There was a bus terminal on Bay Street that was, people were getting robbed and raped in a bus terminal. It was always filled with buses. And it was a nightmare, gang violence, etc. We went through there and cleaned that up. So trust me, I know about cleaning up a situation, but you gotta act within the law. And this day is different than that day. All right. So we gotta make it make sense. All right. So all right, so we gotta fix that. I'm gonna open the phone line. So while I talk about some other things, I'm gonna switch to a couple other things that I just wanted some quick mentions, but I'm gonna open the phone lines. The phone line is different today. So back to the regular phone line. So we got that up. Back to the regular phone line is 804 for COI. 804-4264. That's 804-4-COI. All right, so that's the easy number. 804-4-COI. 804-4264. 804-4264. All right, someone made a comment here. That driver was suspended and the investigation is ongoing. Let me say, you know, you were scared, Lincoln. Scared of what? I don't understand that statement. All right. It's three sides to every story. This is true. This is very true. All right. And Rosewood was completely burned down and people killed because one woman said a story that wasn't true for whatever reason. And so I'm not saying that story isn't true, but I'm saying that we need to get to the full bottom of this. All right. Someone said, me leave my belongings with a stranger? Yeah, me? No. Not no taxi, buddy. I don't care what country I go in, America or wherever, I'm not leaving my stuff with a stranger. Let's go to the phone lines. Good afternoon, you're live. Good afternoon, you're live. Go ahead, caller, you're live. Listen to your phone, not to your device you're watching this on. Okay, we lost them. All right, so I just want to touch on a couple of things. I want to touch on a couple of things that the Governor General, she is a well-known Bahamian. She is the Deputy Prime Minister under the her congratulate her, and she's going into that it's that honorable position. It's a position that carries no weight, and of course we're going to be moving to the Governor General position. What? I can hardly hear you. Say it again. Yeah, that's disturbing if that is true. But saying that if something is true, it's the same as saying if something is not true. We don't know if it's true or not. I don't think she can lie. I don't think she can lie like that. People have lied for simpler things. I just mentioned Rosewood. Rosewood, a whole city of people were killed and died and burned down, and because of one woman telling a lie. I've seen a lot as a police officer.
I got you. Listen, I got some comment.
Right.
Why don't you tell me why Chivelis wasn't given the GG appointment as it was circulated, but he was going to get it. And then the second thing is, we need you just as well as Cassius to be the next generations of leaders for our country. So whatever it is you guys got going on, you got to lend that because we need to do it. That makes sense to you?
I can't speak for why they wouldn't pick Neil Ellis. You got to speak to Philip Brave Davis about that. I don't think that Mother Pratt is a bad choice. I think she's a good choice for that position. And she's been a philanthropist and she's done some good stuff. I think that during her time as a deputy prime minister, she saw a lot of corruption that she didn't say anything about. She didn't do any corruption that I know about, but she saw corruption around her and didn't stand up. But outside of that, I think that she is a legendary Bahamian, and she's accomplished a lot as someone who came from the bottom and now they're on top of the hill. So I think she's a good choice.
Okay.
All right, and about the thing, yeah, we need all Bahamians to come forward to take us into this new Bahamas. We need people who are going to stand up, people who are not going to waver when it's politically expedient with the PLP or FNM, who's not going to work on their behalf. We need people who are serious, and that's any of the people who are out there. That could be Cassius, Ali, whoever is out there, who have been out there for a while. We need to take this thing serious, and we need to take our country back.
Gotcha. All right, well, I'll continue to listen.
All right. 804-4264, 804-4COI is the number. Yeah, we need Bahamians. We need Bahamians from all walks of life to get serious, and not because someone made a mistake in their past or even recently or even politically means they must be thrown in the garbage. But we just need to know that when that day comes and it's an election, if it's a close election, that we don't have anyone who is going to sell out because it's expedient to do. I think that the cause that persons are talking about with making sure our children are not influenced by this homosexual agenda is a good cause, but I don't see where the government is trying to put it in schools. Yesterday and today, they had their administrative meeting, so I'm waiting to get a report tomorrow on whether at the administrative meeting they said that this book was going into school or that they're going to be teaching this in the schools. So far, I've not gotten that from the Ministry of Education. So, fighting to stop them from promoting LGBT in our schools right now is the same as fighting them to stop them from promoting Muslim religion in the school right now, because neither of them is going to happen. That's not on the agenda. That's not. I heard a lady put out a voice note saying it's going to happen. I haven't seen it yet. As soon as I see that, I don't act on fantasy. As soon as I see that, I'm going to be fighting hard. I don't care who's next to me, in front of me, behind me. I'm going to be fighting hard to stop that. All right, just so you know that. Fred Mitchell is in power, and Fred Mitchell always had an agenda, and that was the LGBT agenda. It was always his agenda. Many of you have forgotten that he stood up in the House of Assembly and said he feels good. He can even retire now because his agenda is coming forward. He said even his bishop of the Anglican Church agrees with the agenda. And Fred Mitchell endorsed the LGBT agenda in our House of Assembly. None of y'all remember that, eh? Let me let someone from the grave remind you of that. And I'm playing this because you brought that up. Watch this.
I was in horror. And I'm speaking publicly because I have in my possession in my bag a CD that I received because I wanted to make sure I heard what I heard this week. As one of our ministers of foreign affairs stood up in Parliament this last few days and proudly stated that he's been in this government process for 30 years of his life, and he gave his whole life to politics, and he built it up very nice. How he served to the point where he even didn't get married. He wanted to dedicate himself totally. Talking to you, keep the TV on. I know what I heard. I heard this myself, and I got the CD to prove it. He said, I worked 30 years of my life. He said, for this moment. What moment? And then he said it. He said, you know, when I first entered these hallowed halls of your Parliament, my personal life and my private life could not be spoken of publicly. And my decisions that I made about my personal orientations, I couldn't even mention it when I first entered these halls. But we've come a long way, he says. He said, because now my bishop has finally seen the light. And I can now say in these hallowed halls without shame that I support the gay and lesbian and transsexual organization that was said in your country 5 days ago. In Parliament, the house you built. He abused our house to promote his personal decision. He wasn't doing the people's business. Let me quote it again. Every other entity in society has a plan. And their plan is to what? Affect, influence, and control the changes in society. Let me tell you what he said. He said, I've been in here all these years, and now I could plan to leave. Because what I came in to do, I got the CD, has now arrived, he says. And the bishop of the Anglican Church in the Bahamas has sanctioned it.
And so that was Dr. Miles reminding us about Fred Mitchell. There was also a back and forth between him and Fred Mitchell, and that's what Fred Mitchell did in the House. But then Fred Mitchell went into the international community and started talking the gay agenda, representing the Bahamas, and Dr. Miles told him, stop it. You don't represent us, the international community, with this nonsense. You have to represent us. And And there was a big back and forth, and he said a lot of nasty words, kind of like what he's doing with me now. You know, he calls me the devil and Lucifer, and he says, "Get thee behind me, Satan," to me, because I'm standing up for what's right. And so Fred Mitchell did the same thing to Dr. Miles back in the day, all right? And this is his agenda. So if we should be protesting something, we should be protesting the PLP. Because every time Fred comes in, he pushes that agenda, and they let him push that agenda because that's their agenda. Let me play something else for you from, and this isn't attacking Fred, this is his public record. This is his public record. Dr. Miles gave a solution for all this. And this is what needs to happen. He gave the solution, and there's the solution.
I want at least 25 members of this church to run in the next election. Yes, I said that publicly. I want Parliament filled with people who are full of the Word of God, who love the kingdom of God, whose standards are intact, and they sleep with the opposite sex, and they understand values and morals that are fundamentally biblical, which is according to our preamble. We will sacrifice nothing for God's will.
And so that's what Dr. Miles had to say. See, he's right. Just sitting on the outside and being an activist only goes so far. They can ignore you. But we got to get the real soldiers in the House of Assembly who are real now, not being distractions or being political prostitutes. We got to get the real people in the House of Assembly who wants to make the change that we need to see. It's simple as that. We need real people to make the change we need to see. All right. And so some of the chat scoopers push this as well. Yes, and Glennis Anna Martin and others. All right. This is a PLP thing. You know, someone said to me, don't go too far out for those taxi drivers. I go out for Bahamians, and that includes the police officers, the taxi drivers, and whoever else. I go out for Bahamians. All right. And I didn't go there patting up the taxi drivers. I told them, don't block this road, don't block the sidewalk. I told the police, do not unlawfully arrest anybody. I'm standing up for what's right, because that's what leadership does. I'm not taking anyone's side. I don't ever just listen to something that someone tells me without properly investigating. All right. And so that's some of the things I do. I also notice something very interesting as I was driving, and that was that there are prisoners they're using to clean the streets now. I actually think it's a good idea. Instead of sitting there, having them sit down and feeding them, this is happening. I'm sorry, I didn't get it to play. Well, as you can see, the prisoner was there in the background, and he was working. All right, and I think that's a real good idea. All right. Put them to work. I know the illegal immigrants are going to be put to work in this country. That's part of our plan. I also wanted you to notice something very interesting. We showed you the potholes and all of that the last time we were live, but we got a chance to really drive the airport road, right? Harold Road and these roads. And this is the airport road. Look how manicured it is. No. This is Bahama Boulevard. We took this last time at the airport. It's Bahama Boulevard. Look at it. This was made by foreigners. This road, from it was built all these years, does not have one pothole. Does not have one correction needed in this road. And it's manicured on the sides. I want you all to watch this. Here, look. And so that's The road is built by foreigners. And you think about the airport road. The airport road is immaculate in terms of the road itself. The road itself has been there for 10 years. 10 years, officially open. And we was riding it before that because they fixed the halves differently. 10 years that road has been there, not one pothole and not one correction to that road. 10 years. Philip Brave Davis objected to that road. He said it was too expensive. And this is why, politicians make me cringe. Politicians make me cringe. Let me show you something. I'm going to show you something. And this is why, politicians are some of the most demonic people on earth. Okay, pay attention to this. This is Philip Brave Davis when they were talking about the airport road, the new road. He said, how much for 7 miles of airport? He was objecting to this road. How much was being spent? All right, $70 million was being spent. All right, and he was making all kinds of noise about it. And, of course, just like everything else, before election, he was going to repeal RCI, right? The Paris Island deal. Then when it came in, he let it go through. The new bill for the Commercial Enterprise Act. They said, "Oh, we're going to repeal that." They came in. They've been in for almost 2 years. They still ain't repeal it. Now I brought it up on my live, and now they're saying, "Oh, we're going to repeal it," because they watch my lives and they realize how stupid they look that they started bringing it up. But this was Brave Davis saying that this road shouldn't be built, too expensive, it don't make no sense, and he was opposing it. But when he got in, look at this. When he got in, look at him. He cutting the ribbon. This Brave cutting the ribbon. The Chinese. Look, he opposed the road, and look at him cutting the ribbon. The children buying in the back of them, big smiles. And look at what Perry Christie said. This after they opposed this road, PM Perry Christie said that the new vista provided by the gateway would be a delight for Bahamians and visitors to the country. This after they oppose it. If y'all ain't tired of getting swing back and forth yet, I don't know what to say. But our roads can be built properly. Our roads can be built properly. We need all of our roads to be built that way, so that we don't have to keep looking back at them, fixing potholes. They gave the contracts, like right now, they gave the road contract to Ezra Russell because he's Brave Davis General. More cronyism. Procurement Act out the window. Criminal activity, in my opinion. $17 million. So you had a problem with them building a proper highway. All right? That road might have been 7 miles, but that is like 14 miles of road because it's a dual carriageway. All right? And money was also provided for it to be just like Bahama with all of the lush plants and all that in the median and on the two sides, but they never did that. I don't know what happened to the money, but it didn't do it. But the money was there. All right? The article is right there if you need to see it. And so the equivalent of 14 miles of road and which is twice the width of New Providence, twice the width of New Providence. And Brave Davis had a problem with that. But he is letting Ezra Russell get $17 million to do a road in Andros, as if there are no Andros people to do that. They put tar on top of dirt, and that's how we end up where we end up. We need real change in this country, and we need it fast. And when I say fast, I mean very fast. We can't take another 3 years of this. But, ladies and gentlemen, what are you going to do? I just wanted to also make a special note of something that happened. The FNM, you know, they're trying to copy us now and have rallies. At an immigration rally. And I want you to pay attention to these people you all call qualified, to the nonsense they sometimes spew. And they spew it with so much confidence that you think that what they're saying is real or right. But I just wanted you to know that a lot of these guys don't know what the hell they are talking about. And here is their former Minister of Foreign Affairs, the former Defense Force officer, making a statement about Crown land at the FNM's immigration town hall meeting. Watch this.
MCM, you put a question pertaining to Crown land and how do we address squatters on Crown land. My recall of the law is that government land does not pass to anyone under 60 years. So you would have to have been, that's what you can correct me, or it's 60 years for Crown land to pass to anyone. Underlying in a lot of the questions that we've heard tonight, you know, and we're not tone deaf, is this issue of how do we preserve the Bahamas for Bahamians? There are 12 million people, they say, on that side, to our neighbors to the south of us. I served there for 6 months doing peacekeeping. They don't know how many people there, right? Because some people live in such remote areas. They're not coming out when it's time for census. So we have under 500,000 people in the Bahamas. For this reason, we must control any migration into the Bahamas. And our policy must be like all developed countries. People should come to the Bahamas who has a contribution to make to our country. You go to Canada and places like that now, they're looking for professionals. But we have these other issues with young people in our country who simply won't do the work that a lot of these people come here to do. And so we wind up with the strain in our schools. In some schools, they're up to 80%. MCM, you put a question pertaining to Crown land and how do we address squatters on Crown land. My recall of the law is that government land does not pass to anyone under 60 years. So you would have to have been, that's what you can correct me, or it's 60 years for Crown land to pass to anyone. Underlying in a lot of the questions that we've heard tonight, you know, and we're not tone deaf, is this issue of how do we preserve the Bahamas for Bahamians? There are 12 million people, they say, on that side.
Every blood clot man Kennedy get over. See that right there? That's a green law. When they pave the road, they pave over. The woman, hey, boy, Bahamians. This the corner I live through. That's the church, right? Now let me show you all how close the MP live from where I live. This is how close I live from the MP. That's our shopping plaza. See what boy, it's a boyfriend car right there. That's where she live. She live right in this yard. See, she live right in this yard here. See how close that is? That's how close I live from her. And we get no result. That's the road she live on now. Oh, That's a road she live on. This is how I know. Don't worry fast. I have to work fast. I'm she live in the same White House. This is our road, boy. This is how close to my left. See, that's one house, and then one house. It's the corner. See, that's how I corner. It's an office store.
Let me send you the link.
Can set you back over $3,000 a kilo. In fact, they're so valuable. Cucumbers usually cost under $3 a kilo, but sea cucumbers can set you back over $3,000 a kilo. In fact, they're so valuable, people will risk their lives to get a hold of one. They might not look it, but sea cucumbers are pretty special creatures. Just ask this guy, Stephen Purcell, one of the world's foremost experts on sea cucumbers.
They're quite strange animals. They don't have any limbs, they don't have any eyes, they have a mouth, and they have an anus, and a whole bunch of organs in between.
These otherworldly animals.
Okay, so we're back. We were having some technical difficulties. That's why we were just playing videos until we got the audio back. But hopefully the audio is back up and you're able to hear what's going on. The video we played from the FNM rally, you would notice that the Darren Henfield said that you have to be on Crown 60 years before you can get it. That is absolutely false and incorrect. That is such a diabolical lie, and all of them sat there and allowed it. All of them. You know, and this is, we keep just trusting people because they are some respected politician, and these guys, some of them are smart, you know, but when it's like something happens when they get in government. So it reminds me of Wayne Monroe. He was a brilliant lawyer before he got into government. When he got into government, he turned into something else. He transformed into this.
I'll explain it like this. If you were to rape a virgin, if you were to rape a prostitute, both are rape, you're likely to be awarded a higher sentence for raping a nun than raping a prostitute. That's just what the case law says, because you consider the impact of the offense, and considering the impact of the offense, you consider victim impact. So that's a part of sentencing.
So the gentleman said that you'll get a tougher sentence if you rape a nun than if you rape a prostitute. That actually came out of a politician's mouth. I don't know what else to say. But you're looking for qualified politicians. You got it. How's that working out for you? National security working out for you? Okay. Darren Hanfield, what he said was an absolute lie. What's the point of having town hall meetings if you're going to lie? And there's other things that they lied about at that town hall meeting, but I'm not going to play all that stuff. It's just a waste of time. They have a former minister of immigration who lived across the street from the illegal straw market, right across the street, and across the street from a shanty town. And that was their minister of immigration. How could you sit down and talk about immigration? I heard on a talk show today that they were saying that, oh, the FNM is dealing with immigration issues. They're talking about it. No, they're not. They're talking about Keith Bell. They're talking about Keith Bell, not immigration issues. Do you see them demanding that the government break down shanty towns? No, because Fred Smith controls Michael Pintard. That's who financed him and who finances him. That's who he was working with. Do you hear them talking about the influx of persons landing on our shores or dealing with these situations? No. You hear them talking about Keith Bell. That's it. Sure, better wake up. So, no one on that stage is worthy to be there. We've had enough of the FNM. We've had enough of the PLP. We need a real change. So just wanted to bring those things to your attention before we leave. And to the taxi drivers who were falsely arrested, listen, take it to court. You are extremely wealthy. It's going to change your life. One of the reasons I started to play that cucumber video, and I'm going to end with that video so that you can see how much natural resources we have. In our ocean, you will see miles and miles of sea cucumbers. They're like a caterpillar, but they're big. On the ocean floor, miles and miles and miles of them. We have so much natural resources that it is beyond belief. It is beyond belief how much natural resources we have. Jesus. But yet, our government is going around begging and poor. Again, we are on a mission to make every Bahamian benefit from our natural resources, all of them. We're on a mission to put Bahamians first and make Bahamians own this economy. We're on a mission to end corruption. Our mission is not against immigration, it's against illegal immigration. As we prosper, we're going to need people to come in and work for us because we're going to be the brains. We're going to be the ones with the ideas, and we're going to need others to do the manual labor. We will not be the manual labor moving forward. We have to change our thinking. A new Bahamas is possible, and a new Bahamas is here. Thank you all for tuning in. I just want to remind all of you, which I should have been doing during this whole show. We are going to South Andres, so we're going to have some events in South Andres. We're looking forward to it, to seeing how much South Andres have changed since the building era. But we're going to be in South Andres at the preschool at 7 p.m. And on Saturday we're going to be in Mangrove Key at the Mangrove Key High School at 7 p.m. All right, Mangrove Key High School at 7 p.m. Make sure if you have family and friends in South Andres, make sure you there to support us. So the Clara L. McKinsey Preschool on August 18th in South Andres, 7 p.m. And on August 19th, 2023, 7 p.m., Mangrove Key, South Andres, the Mangrove Key High School. All right, so make sure you are there. Make sure you participate in what is going on. Make sure you're there to find out what our vision is for South Andres. And we're there to hear the people and to hear what they're going through. The reason I played that sea cucumber thing is because the same Michael Pintard was Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, and there's a young man called Mr. Nick Roll, who has been exporting conch shells out of this country. Brilliant behavior we should be encouraging. And Michael Pintard went down there and stopped him from harvesting the sea cucumbers. All right, he stopped him instead of encouraging him. But Michael didn't stop the Greeks and the others who were doing the same thing. All right, how is that? It's okay for the Greeks and the Chinese, but a black Bahamian boy, that's too much money for him. Well, this video is going to show you why that's too much money. Bahamians, all of our wealth is in the ocean. Don't let them convince you that our country is not wealthy. Bahamians, please listen to me before it's too late. We have one chance and one shot to get this right. I'm fighting for you, not for me. I'm fighting for you. I'm fighting for your children. I'm serious about this. I'm sacrificing everything I have for this. I'm fighting for you because I believe in this. I'm willing to sacrifice my life and my liberty to see the new Bahamas. Let's stand up and let's take our country back. This video I'm going to end with, not a long video. This tells you about sea cucumbers, and we have it in abundance. They range from about $3,000 a kilo. Some is a little less, but we got all kind of varieties in the Bahamas. Y'all wake up, man. Let's save our country. Tell your family, meet us in South Andres. I'll see you next time.
Cucumbers usually cost under $3 a kilo, but sea cucumbers can set you back over $3,000 a kilo. In fact, they're so valuable, people will risk their lives to get a hold of one. They might not look it, but sea cucumbers are pretty special creatures. Just ask this guy, Stephen Purcell, one of the world's foremost experts on sea cucumbers.
They're quite strange animals. They don't have any limbs, they don't have any eyes, they have a mouth, and they have an anus, and a whole bunch of organs in between.
These otherworldly animals have been prized as a delicacy in Asia for centuries, where the wealthiest class would eat the animals as a nutritious, high-protein treat. But it wasn't until the 1980s that demand exploded. A growing middle class in China meant more people could afford the luxury. Today, they're typically dried and packaged in ornate boxes, then given as gifts and served on special occasions. So, the fancier and more unusual looking, the better. And more expensive. It turns out,
The spikier the animals, the higher the price.
And of the 1,250 different species of sea cucumber in the world, the Japanese sea cucumber takes the cake.
You know, imagine some sort of a mystical dragon slug with all these sort of spikes coming out of it.
At up to $3,500 a kilo, it's the most expensive sea cucumber on the market. Compared to other varieties like the golden sandfish, dragonfish, and curryfish. And even if you order a common species on Amazon, you could still pay over $170 for a plate. Besides presentation, cucumber connoisseurs also value thick, chewy bodies, and to a lesser extent, taste. But the experience of eating them is only part of their appeal. Turns out, sea cucumbers contain high levels of a chemical called fucosylated glycosaminoglycan in their skin, which people across Asia have been using to treat joint problems like arthritis for centuries. And more recently in Europe, where people are using it to treat certain cancers and to reduce blood clots. The sea cucumber craze now comes from all sides. You have the original Asian delicacy demand that started in the 1980s, and the new interest from Western pharmaceutical companies. In response, nations have clamored to harvest their local species. From Morocco to the United States to Papua New Guinea, everyone wants in on the sea cucumber trade.
It's just spread like a contagion from one country to another.
For example, from 1996 to 2011, the number of countries exporting sea cucumbers exploded from 35 to 83. But unfortunately, sea cucumbers couldn't handle the strain. In Yucatan, Mexico, for example, divers saw a 95% drop in their harvest just between 2012 and 2014. And that's a problem for everyone. For one, because the more sea cucumbers are harvested, the rarer and more expensive they become. Average prices rose almost 17% worldwide between 2011 and 2016. And the rarer these animals get, the deeper divers are swimming to find them. That's when fishing gets dangerous.
Some countries, they're doing that without either a lot of training. In some of the tropical countries, you're getting a lot of people either becoming paralyzed through decompression sickness.
So far, at least 40 Yucatan divers have died trying to harvest sea cucumbers. And as demand continues to increase, the problem is only getting worse. Of the 70 or more species of exploited sea cucumbers, 7 are now classified as endangered, all through exploitation, forcing numerous fisheries worldwide to shut down and damaging local economies in the process. So, why not farm sea cucumbers and leave the wild ones alone? Well, it's easier said than done, since many larvae die before reaching maturity. And those that do survive take 2 to 6 years to grow to a marketable size. That said, aquaculture for a few varieties has started to take off, like with that fancy Japanese sea cucumber.
It's now aquaculture in China in the billions.
Hopefully, more species will be farmed instead of fished in the future, if not to protect local economies and help develop potentially life-saving drugs, then at least to preserve a fascinatingly bizarre animal.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. See you in Andres on this weekend. We have a country with trillions and trillions of natural resources. We just got to go get it and get rid of our corrupt politicians who are keeping us back and who want to keep us down under their feet. Ladies and gentlemen, change ain't coming. Change is here. See you next time.